Time never moved, you did. That's the fracture no one wants to see. Every second you've chased, every deadline, every clock face, all of it a mirror for your own motion, not a measure of the universe. Time doesn't pass. You pass through awareness. And yet, you've been taught to bow to it like a god, the ticking hands, the aging skin, the fear of too late. But what if that god was never real? What if the prison of time exists only because you agreed to its walls? You've felt it before, those moments when time breaks its rhythm. The night that never ends. The conversation that swallows hours in minutes. The memory that returns so vividly it feels alive again. When grief slows the air, when love collapses the distance between heartbeats. You call it emotion, but it's something deeper. It's the field bending around your state. Every pulse of attention distorts it, stretches, freezes, accelerates. Not because time changes, but because you do. We were told the past is gone and the future is waiting, but both are illusions dressed in sequence. The past isn't behind you, it's inside you, vibrating in patterns of thought and feeling. The future isn't ahead, it's already forming in the quiet frequency of your focus. You are the hinge, the turning point, the observer that folds moments into meaning. Time does not move, consciousness breathes, and time exhales. But there's a cost to knowing this. Once you glimpse the mechanism, the illusion begins to tremble. You start noticing how memory edits itself in real time, how decisions ripple backward, how a single shift in awareness alters what was. It feels like déjà vu, but sharper, as though the universe were reweaving itself to match your new signal. And deep down, something ancient in you whispers, it's always been this way. So the question isn't what time is. The question is, who are you when time stops? When the ticking disappears and there's only presence, vast, unmeasured, waiting? Somewhere between one breath and the next, the fabric loosens. Seconds dissolve. Space expands. And what's left is not time at all, but the truth that has been watching you since before you were born, waiting for you to remember that it never left. You start to notice how time feels different depending on what you carry inside. A single minute can suffocate when filled with anxiety, but a whole afternoon can dissolve when peace takes over. The clock stays the same, yet your experience bends it. That's when the first cracks appear in what you once believed to be solid. You begin to sense that time doesn't unfold around you, it unfolds through you. Every emotion becomes a lens that curves it. Every thought becomes a gravity that pulls the next moment closer or pushes it away. Think about how often you rush through a day without ever being in it. You move, but your mind lingers somewhere else, trapped between what already happened and what you fear might come. You call it routine, but it's actually distortion. You've split yourself across timelines that don't exist, trying to manage moments that are already gone or haven't yet been born. And in doing so, you lose the only thing that ever truly was, presence. The body feels it first. Shoulders tighten as though trying to hold 1,000 unrealized tomorrows. The breath shortens, sinking not with the moment, but with a phantom version of it. You sense the weight of unfinished memories pressing on your chest, things you can't change but still replay. That's the illusion of linear time, the belief that you must drag the past behind you to prove it happened. But what if time isn't a road you walk, but an atmosphere you breathe? The past and the future aren't ahead or behind. They're frequencies overlapping the present, waiting for your awareness to tune them. When you slow down, truly slow down, the fabric begins to reveal itself. You feel how the moment expands, how details sharpen, light, sound, sensation, all vibrating with a strange intimacy. The ticking fades. The mind loosens its grip, and suddenly you're here. Not in the memory of here, not in the idea of here, but in the living pulse that has no name. That pulse isn't passing through time, it is time. Many people sense this but don't have words for it. That subtle shift, when hours stop existing and something vast takes their place. It's why so many stay close to spaces like this, to remember what they already knew before the world taught them to hurry. Because deep down, you can feel it too. Time isn't escaping you. It's waiting for you to notice it's been standing still all along, quietly holding everything you've ever been and everything you're about to become. And somewhere in that stillness, something new is beginning to stir, a realization that might just change the way you see every moment that follows. But the moment you touch that stillness, the mind fights back. It panics. It needs movement, sequence, story. It needs the illusion of before and after to know who it is. Without that, it loses its ground, and so it pulls you back into time with everything it has. You start to feel the tug, the unfinished conversation, the deadlines, the regrets. They appear like ghosts demanding to be fed. Time reclaims its authority through your attention. Because where awareness goes, reality grows. And suddenly, the infinite that felt so near fades into the noise of seconds once again. It's strange how easily you forget the silence once the clock starts ticking again. You look around and everything feels slightly off, as if the world had aged while you blinked. The air feels heavier. The body feels smaller. The present, which just moments ago felt vast, collapses into a narrow hallway of nexts. Next task, next thought, next worry. That's how time traps you. Not through force, but through momentum. You start running without realizing you're not actually moving anywhere. And yet, even inside that trap, there's a flicker of rebellion. A small voice whispering that none of this rush is real. You feel it when you stand still long enough for the hum of the world to return. You sense it in those rare seconds when a sunset stops you mid-step, when music holds you suspended between beats, when the person in front of you blurs into something eternal. In those instants, time bows to presence. The loop breaks. The ghosts fall silent. But awareness comes with a cost. You start to see the fracture everywhere. You see how people live haunted by moments that no longer exist, how entire lifetimes are spent rehearsing futures that never come. You begin to feel the ache of it, the quiet tragedy of forgetting that the now is infinite. The eyes of strangers look tired not from age, but from dragging their timelines behind them. You start to wonder how much of what you call life is actually memory replaying itself under a new disguise. And beneath all of that, there's a deeper question forming, one that refuses to leave. If time bends around attention, what happens when attention is free? When you stop feeding the illusion and stand at the center of its spin? You can almost feel it, like gravity reversing, as if something hidden beneath reality is preparing to reveal itself, waiting for the moment you finally stop chasing what was never running. And then something softer begins to unfold, almost tender, as if time itself were listening. You realize it's not the enemy. It never was. It's the mirror reflecting back how present or distant you are from yourself. When you rush, it contracts. When you breathe, it opens. Time follows your pulse like a devoted shadow, not to control you, but to remind you of rhythm. The more you resist it, the faster it slips through your hands. The moment you surrender, it begins to stretch, generous and forgiving. You start to see it everywhere, in the way light moves across a room, how a child's laughter seems to freeze the air, how grief makes seconds echo endlessly. Time doesn't pass the same for everyone because it's not a constant. It's intimacy made visible. The more you feel, the more elastic it becomes. Every heartbeat writes its own measure. That's why joy feels timeless, because, in it, you stop counting. The realization arrives quietly, almost like an apology from the universe. Time isn't stealing from you. You've been handing it away, piece by piece, to distractions, fears, and expectations that were never yours. You start to recall the moments when you were truly there, how complete they felt, how nothing seemed missing. The warmth of that awareness spreads slowly, like sunlight seeping through clouds. It's not enlightenment, it's remembrance. Somewhere inside, a new rhythm takes hold, slower, deeper, more honest. The body adjusts. The breath steadies. The world no longer feels like something chasing you, but something pulsing with you. And it's in that subtle alignment that many feel the quiet urge to mark this shift, a soft impulse to leave a trace, a silent gesture of resonance. It's not about approval or agreement. It's simply that recognition, the moment when someone feels seen by time instead of consumed by it. Maybe that's why people stay, linger, breathe together here, because for a few suspended seconds, they remember how infinite a single moment can be. Still, the mystery deepens. The more you open to it, the more it expands beyond logic. You start to wonder, if time responds to presence, could presence reshape reality itself? The air thickens around that thought, alive with possibility. Something vast, unseen, begins to stir, as though the past and the future were leaning in, waiting for you to listen closer. But as presence deepens, something unexpected happens. Time begins to answer back. You start to feel its currents moving around you, not as numbers or hours, but as subtle tides of energy. Some moments pull you closer, others drift away before you can touch them. You realize that every instant has its own gravity, its own texture. Some are dense and heavy, like wet earth. Others are light as dust on sunlight. And the strange part is that you're not just moving through them, they're responding to you. Each breath, each emotion, shifts the rhythm of how reality unfolds. This understanding is beautiful, but unsettling. Because if time responds to your state, then you are never simply in time, you are constantly shaping it. Every thought becomes a direction, every silence a doorway. It's not just about seconds and minutes, it's about meaning and vibration. Hope expands it. Fear compresses it. Joy suspends it. Sorrow stretches it until it almost breaks. And beneath it all, a truth hums quietly. Time is not linear, it's alive. The more you notice it, the more you sense how fragile it is, not in its existence, but in your ability to stay aligned with it. The present feels like a tightrope stretched over infinity. One careless thought, and you slip into the past or the future. But when balance holds, when attention steadies, the view becomes breathtaking. Every sound, every heartbeat, every flicker of light in the room feels impossibly vivid. You are no longer waiting for life to happen. You are inside it, completely. And yet, this new awareness brings a subtle ache. Because now you can feel the weight of every moment you've missed. The dinners you rushed through, the mornings you blurred, the faces you saw without really seeing. You can almost hear time sigh in those memories. Not angry, just patient, waiting for you to return. It's both grief and grace at once, a reminder that presence is the most generous form of love you can offer to the world. The contrast sharpens, expansion and contraction, loss and revelation, silence and awakening. You stand in that space between, where the edges of reality start to blur. The air hums, low and steady, like a threshold about to open. You don't know what's beyond it. Only that time has stopped being something you look at. It has become something looking back. And what's in its gaze feels infinite, intimate, and about to speak. There's a point where awareness becomes almost unbearable. Not because it hurts, but because it reveals too much. You start to see the threads connecting everything. The missed moments, the choices you thought were accidents, the people who appeared and disappeared at impossible intervals. It's as if time had been weaving a secret pattern beneath your life, waiting for you to look closely enough to notice. And when you finally do, it's both beautiful and terrifying. Beautiful, because it shows order where you saw chaos. Terrifying, because it means nothing was ever random, not even your pain. You realize that every event, no matter how small, carries echoes across dimensions of memory. A single word spoken years ago still vibrates somewhere, shaping decisions you haven't yet made. The smile you gave to a stranger loops back in ways you can't trace. The argument you regret still flickers like static in the field. You begin to understand that time is not a line, but a symphony, and every note you play reverberates forever. The harmony or dissonance you feel today might be the echo of something you once set in motion without realizing it. And yet, in that understanding, something softens. The guilt begins to loosen its grip, because if everything is connected, then forgiveness can travel backward too. You can heal what's been. You can send gentleness into moments that hurt you, and somehow, the pain begins to dissolve, not erased, but integrated, rewoven into light. It's almost too much to take in, this power to rewrite not the story, but the feeling inside it. You start to see that time's true nature isn't punishment, it's compassion unfolding through experience. But even compassion has shadows. For every healed thread, another emerges, asking to be seen. Awareness doesn't stop the work, it deepens it. You realize that the same field that carries love also holds fear, that creation and destruction share the same breath. The weight of that truth presses against your chest like gravity. You feel suspended, between knowing and unknowing, between surrender and control. The room seems to breathe with you. The air grows thick, almost luminous. It feels as though time itself is holding its breath, waiting for something inside you to align. You can sense the next moment forming, just beyond reach, vast, trembling, alive. And though you don't yet know what it will reveal, you understand this much. Whatever comes next will not arrive from time, but through you. The shift begins almost imperceptibly, a small rearrangement of how things feel rather than how they look. The air around your actions grows denser, charged, as if each decision now carries weight beyond its surface. You start to notice how presence changes results. Tasks that once felt mechanical begin to unfold with fluid precision. Delays vanish. People respond differently. The same effort now produces a ripple that extends far beyond what you can see. It's as though time has started cooperating, not as a servant, but as a partner. Yet, this cooperation comes with quiet demands. You can't rush it. Every time you try, the flow tightens, resists. But when you align, when attention and intention merge without strain, everything rearranges itself to meet you halfway. Opportunities that once slipped by begin to orbit closer. You feel them before they arrive, like tremors beneath the surface of a calm sea. It's not coincidence, it's coherence. A conversation you postponed suddenly becomes the doorway to something larger. A message sent in stillness finds the exact person it was meant to reach. This is when the realization settles. Action no longer starts from movement, but from alignment. You aren't forcing outcomes, you're tuning them. The smallest gesture, when done from clarity, expands exponentially. A single word spoken with presence can change an entire dynamic. Even silence becomes strategic, not absence, but power withheld in the right moment. Time rewards patience differently now. What once felt like waiting becomes preparation. And people begin to feel it too. The way you show up alters the atmosphere around you. Without saying much, you shift the tone of rooms, conversations, relationships. There's something magnetic in calm certainty, not loud, not dramatic, but undeniable. Others sense it, even if they can't name it. Some lean in, drawn by the subtle resonance. Others pull away, unsettled by their own reflection in your steadiness. It's a test, not of effort, but of consistency. Can you stay tuned when the world tries to pull you back into noise? This is where the story deepens, where presence becomes practice. The boundary between inner and outer begins to dissolve, and life starts responding to the rhythm you keep. Each experience becomes feedback, not punishment. Even setbacks carry messages written in patterns of timing. And sometimes, when the awareness becomes too sharp, you find yourself needing to breathe, to anchor the insight before it evaporates. Maybe that's why people pause here, to release what stirs inside them, to translate silence into words. Because something this real, this close, demands to be witnessed, even if only with a single reflection left behind. But every partnership with time eventually reveals its edge. As awareness sharpens, so does the cost of misalignment. You begin to see how even the smallest distortion, a rushed word, a distracted glance, a thought laced with doubt, creates ripples that travel farther than you intended. The field that once amplified your calm now mirrors your unrest with the same precision. The more power you carry, the more sensitive the feedback becomes. Every action is a signal, every pause a choice. And time, patient but unyielding, keeps reflecting exactly what you offer it. It's in this realization that the true challenge emerges. Growth doesn't always feel graceful. Sometimes, it feels like unraveling. The old patterns start to resist, clinging to their rhythm of control. You feel the pull of urgency again, the desire to push, to fix, to force outcomes before they're ready. But now you can sense the difference. The texture of forced time is coarse, jagged. It scratches at your energy, leaves a faint ache behind the eyes. Flow, in contrast, feels smooth, almost invisible, like a current that carries you quietly forward while you're still learning to trust it. And yet, trust doesn't come easily. There are moments when clarity flickers, when progress feels like illusion. You question whether alignment is real or just another story you've built to calm the chaos. Doubt enters like a slow fog, not hostile, but heavy. It wraps around your perception, softens edges, blurs direction. In those moments, even silence feels distant, unreachable. You stand in the middle of your own unfolding, unable to tell whether you're ascending or circling back. But this too is part of the rhythm. The field tests your capacity to remain open when vision narrows. It asks whether you can keep breathing when certainty dissolves. Whether you can find steadiness inside contradiction, movement within stillness, surrender within strength. Each test is subtle, invisible to the outside world, but inside, it feels immense. The heart quickens. The body remembers the urge to close, to control. But something deeper whispers that closure is the real fall, that what feels like disorientation is actually expansion disguised as confusion. So you breathe again, slower this time. You let the fog remain, but you stop trying to fight it. You feel the pulse of something larger beneath it, rhythmic and quiet, like an unseen tide drawing everything into coherence once more. And just before it clears, there's that strange sensation again, the awareness that you're not moving through time, but time is learning to move through you. What it will bring next is uncertain, but you can sense it waiting, just beyond perception, listening for your next breath. And then, almost imperceptibly, the fog begins to thin. Not because you force it to clear, but because you stop resisting its presence. The edges of things return, soft but visible, shapes of memory, whispers of purpose, the faint outline of what might come next. It's as though time itself has exhaled, and in that breath, you glimpse a different geometry of existence. The moments you thought were lost begin to shimmer in the periphery, revealing they were never gone, only folded, waiting for you to perceive them from another angle. You start to notice how each instant carries a quiet intelligence, one that doesn't obey your expectations but answers them in ways you didn't foresee. A delay that once felt like failure now feels like calibration. A door that closed becomes protection disguised as loss. The very pauses that frustrated you turn out to be spaces where reality was realigning itself in silence. You realize that time isn't an enemy or an obstacle, it's a sculptor. Every setback was a chisel strike, shaping the unseen contours of who you were becoming. And yet, this realization doesn't make the process easier. Awareness doesn't remove the ache, it deepens it. To see clearly is to feel more. You sense the duality in everything, how light requires shadow to be visible, how growth demands the friction of uncertainty. You understand that doubt was never meant to stop you, it was meant to refine you. The field only reflects what's truly resonant, and resonance, by nature, is born through contrast. The pulse of progress beats against the resistance of what still wants to stay the same. The deeper you go, the more the lines blur between cause and effect. You begin to sense that maybe they were never separate. The choice you make today ripples backward, touching the moment years ago when you first hesitated. The memory you heal in silence softens the path ahead without you lifting a finger. It's strange, almost disorienting, this feeling that time isn't flowing forward but breathing around you, folding and unfolding with every thought you align. And in that awareness, you stop chasing. You no longer demand that life reveal its sequence, because you can feel that sequence forming inside you. You become a participant in something larger, a quiet orchestration that uses both your stillness and your movement to compose the next measure. The air seems thicker again, charged with potential, like a moment before lightning. Something is gathering, not outside you, but within. You can't name it yet. You just know that time has turned its gaze back toward you, waiting for the next choice that will decide which version of reality takes form. And then something extraordinary happens. Not loud, not dramatic, but unmistakably real. The fabric of what you call time softens. What once felt like a straight line now curves gently, wrapping around you like light bending through water. The rush that used to define your days slows into rhythm, and rhythm becomes meaning. You start to feel how every breath you take leaves an imprint, how every thought sends subtle waves through the unseen field around you. It's not imagination, it's participation. You're no longer watching life unfold, you're inside the unfolding, part of its design. The shift isn't about power, it's about intimacy. You sense the connection between your smallest decision and the vast choreography of existence. You feel the pulse of what you used to call coincidence, now revealed as coherence. Even the moments that broke you start to glow with a strange beauty, as if they were never punishment, only preparation. The questions that haunted you lose their urgency, replaced by a quiet knowing that the answers were never missing, only mistimed. Time didn't withhold them. You simply weren't aligned enough to hear their echo. You realize now that mastery isn't control. It's trust, the willingness to meet the unknown with open hands. You remember the lessons carved into every pause, every loss, every waiting period that once felt unbearable. You see how each delay was a doorway, disguised as silence. The more you tried to force it open, the longer it stayed closed. But the moment you released the need to rush, it unfolded on its own, effortlessly, as if it had been waiting for you to stop pushing. This is the paradox of transformation. The world changes the instant you stop trying to make it change. And it's in this awareness that gratitude arises, not the polite kind, but the visceral gratitude that expands through the chest until it feels infinite. You look back and see how every detour, every heartbreak, every waiting hour served as architecture for this understanding. The pain wasn't a mistake. The confusion wasn't failure. They were both invitations, gentle, persistent, leading you here, to this exact frequency of recognition. So, if something inside you stirred during this journey, it's not coincidence. It's a sign that the field heard you, that coherence has begun. Some leave quietly at this point, satisfied with the glimpse. Others stay, drawn to explore deeper, to witness what unfolds next. If you feel that pull, honor it. Leave a trace of your resonance, a reflection of what shifted in you. Because when one person anchors awareness, countless others begin to remember too. And as the final words settle, feel this truth not as a thought but as vibration. Time was never ahead of you, nor behind. It has always been within you, waiting for the moment you finally slowed down enough to hear it breathe.